Hey, what's up everyone? This is Travis with Pop Culture Rewind, and I'm back to just do a follow-up on our last video we did about the Sega Genesis mini review. Obviously, at the time we were recording, I was just fresh taken out of the box and just hooking it up and just going right on the fly. But since that, I have had time to mess around with it a little bit more and place a few more of the games and check out some of the more features that are on it. And give a little comprehensive pros and cons about what I like about it so far. So right off the bat, here is a better look at the console itself. Emulates very well to what the original Genesis looks like here. As a matter of fact, there was a little pop. This little piece right off the side here, it does absolutely nothing. But that's what happened on the original Sega Genesis, so it's I don't know. It's funny. It's funny that they did that. But yeah, you can't do anything with it. That's what I was talking about in the last video, where they have like little mini versions of the 32X and the Sega CD, and you can hook it all up. It's all cosmetic. There's nothing for it. But anyway, so a couple things about this. When you're on the main screen, one thing I was trying to do on the video, I couldn't figure out how to do it. You could change the viewing to what's called shelf view, which is basically you line them all up. You line up all the titles by their spine of the packaging. Instead of having to scroll up and down through the list, you can see them all on one screen. It's not really necessary, but it's just kind of cool nonetheless that you have the option. They thought about putting that in there. Just stuff like that, along with the changing the languages, and it changes up the designs of everything and for that region that you're changing the language to. So again, going back to the presentation of everything, it's really cool. When it comes to the main menu itself, after a while, the little background music does get a little annoying. It would be nice if you could maybe change out the music to something else, or just take it off altogether. But it's like more nitpick than anything else. But anyway, a couple corrections I wanted to make after reviewing, actually being able to get into the games myself. I think I mentioned in the last video on Sonic 1 on this, you can they made it to where you can do the little spin cycle that you can do on the following games. That's not the case. I don't know where I heard that from. Maybe it was on the recent Sega Genesis Classics game that just came out recently for the consoles, for the Switch and the PS4, things like that. Maybe that's where I heard that from. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, you can't do that on. It's just like a straight up port of Sonic 1 on this game. So a couple other things. I hinted about it on the last video, but this one. Going back to the button configuration, obviously these controllers are the original controllers that they used, so there's only the 3 buttons. There are a couple of games that are on here, mainly that I played so far was Street Fighter 2 and Eternal Champions. Those, you have your light, medium, and high kicks, or low, medium, high kicks, or attacks, but you have to hit the start button to switch between punches and kicks, and they don't tell you that. You just have to kind of figure it out. But I mean, once it's kind of weird at first, but once you play it for a few minutes, it doesn't really. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just kind of weird that they include those games when that was obviously going to be an issue for the controls. But I mean, make lemonade out of lemons, right? They just made the button configuration work for them. So. Oh, one thing about the controllers, I was having a really hard time trying to figure out how to save or get out of the game that I was playing. Apparently, I didn't have enough patience while I was playing it the other day. When you're in a game, if you want to save your point that you're at, or just get out of the game altogether, go back to the main screen, or reset the game that you're playing, you just hold down the start button for, it's like 5 or 6 seconds. And then it goes into the main menu screen. I wasn't thinking it was going to take that long when you hit the start button to go to anything. So, and again, maybe that's coming across after me just playing Nintendo Switch online last couple weeks with the NES and the SNES games. They're I'll say they have a really good system as far as saving your game, loading your game, getting back out of the game, getting into like something else. And one thing I wish that was in this this console, this Genesis console, was to where you can rewind your game that you're playing. Maybe I've already gotten spoiled by the online Switch games where you can do that. You can just you die, you just hit the two buttons and you rewind back to a point, and you can keep on playing, and you know. When it wasn't on this console, so I was like, come on, Nintendo can do it. Sega should be able to do it too. But maybe it has something to do with the emulation and the ports and everything that it's past my knowledge of knowing. But yeah, anyway, pretty much it. Oh, and also I did play the recently unreleased Tetris on this, and it's don't do it. If you see it, you have the opportunity to play it. Just I'm gonna save you the time right now. There's been several iterations of Tetris since this was made. Obviously, much better, much faster, much just overall better. I don't know what to say. It's just this is not good. I mean, I appreciate them putting on there, you know, to as a little added bonus. Hey, this was something that was a thing for the Sega Genesis. It just never saw the light of day. Here it is, you know, for you Sega fans out there. So that's kind of cool. I don't know why you had to put that on there and columns, because columns is basically Sega's version of Tetris, which I always thought growing up. I just thought, okay, well, Nintendo's got Tetris, Sega's got columns. Okay, I'm cool with that. And that's all I needed. So, yeah, anyway. So, yeah, I'm playing some of these games. Some of these games just don't age very well. But some of them are just very, they still hold up. I went off on Comic Zone on the last video. Yes, Comic Zone still does hold up. I still appreciate that game. Eternal Champions does not hold up. It's another old fighting game that just does not hold up over time. If you're going to play a fighting game on this, play Street Fighter 2. It's yeah, I shouldn't have to tell you that, but yeah, there you go. I think in the last video, while I was playing some of the games, Chris had asked me what some of the games, or no, I think I just threw it out there, like some of the games that I would like to see included in here. I'm still sticking with. Unfortunately, there are a lot of licensed games. So I know legally and whatever other copyright reasons you can't have them on there. But I would have loved to have seen X-Men 2: The Clone Wars. I played the heck out of that game back in the day. Even couldn't get that. Maybe the first X-Men game wasn't as good as Clone Wars, but still, I would really like to have seen some kind of X-Men game on here. I think also I mentioned what was the other game on there? But sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. But one game I did not mention on that one, but I did thought about afterwards was Maximum Carnage, the big Spider-Man game where you could play as Spider-Man or Venom. You had all kinds of characters and villains to fight through. It was a really big part of the mid-90s for Spider-Man. So yeah, I know it was on both the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, but obviously, like I said, I had Genesis, so there you go. Oh, that's what I was. I just lost my train of thought earlier. Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1 is more groundbreaking game than Mortal Kombat 2, but I probably would have liked to see Mortal Kombat 2 on here, just because it's more, like I said last time, it's more refined game than the first Mortal Kombat. And it's very important to the console wars back from the 90s, so you know, it wasn't on the Super Nintendo or SNES Classic, so you know, obviously it wasn't even on this one, but still would have been cool to see some kind of Mortal Kombat game on here, especially since we got Street Fighter. So it would have been really cool to have a console that had a Street Fighter and a Mortal Kombat, because if you're talking about 90s games in the 90s, you gotta have those two games. So and also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what was it, Time Stone Heist? I think that's what it was called. There was the Sega Genesis Ninja Turtle game that came out to coincide with Super Nintendo's Ninja Turtle game at the time, the Turtles in Time, I think that's what it was. But yeah, those are just a few of the games. I think I also mentioned Aladdin. If you see this graphic, I think they're about to release Aladdin and Lion King. They're about to release those on like the Switch, and I don't know if it's coming for PS4 or whatever, but yeah, the Aladdin was, I mean, if you just look at the graphics on that, it is very good, and I think those designers went on to do some other stuff after that, so, but anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, and I know, yes, I caught myself after the fact. At the beginning of the last video, I did say we're going to see if Sega does what Nintendo don't, and obviously the ads I was trying to go for was Genesis does what Nintendo don't. So there, yeah, I caught myself. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, give us a like on the comment on the video, and if there's anything that you else wanted to say about this Sega Genesis Mini, if there's any games that you would like to have seen, or maybe games you just don't like that's on this console, let us know in the comment section. So until next time, always remember to pop your culture.